Chips designed by Qualcomm are practically the nerve center for smartphones and smart devices. We have with us Qualcomm India President Mr. Savi Soin. So many thanks for speaking to PTI.
Thank you very much. Very good to see you.
Same here. How do you see Qualcomm's journey in the India market over the years? How has it grown over the past years? And what are the big, bold bets that Qualcomm is taking in India market?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. It's actually a privilege to speak to you. You know, Qualcomm, we've been in India for a very long time, right? In fact, this year, two of our centers in Hyderabad and in Bangalore are going to experience their 20th anniversary. So we've been in India and investing in India and developing the talent in India for a very long time, before it was the thing to do, right? And we have, as a result of being here for this long, we have done a lot of things for the ecosystem around us, for things like Qualcomm Design Innovation Challenge, right? We have 100 companies that have gone through that. We have Qualcomm Women partnership, where founders and CEOs, women-led companies are coming to us for mentorship. We have a semiconductor mentorship program as well. So we've done a lot of things given that we've been here for 20 years, we've done a lot in terms of developing the ecosystem and the community around us. So we see India as a huge area, not only for us to, as a hub for talent, as also an opportunity for us to do more in India.
What are the targets that Qualcomm has set for India?
Yeah. So I think, as you know, Qualcomm, you know us from a smartphone DNA. But, we've been able to take some of the technology learnings on the phones and been able to extrapolate that into a lot of different industries. What's most exciting for us is we are pretty much everywhere. You look at two-wheelers, we're working with all the OEMs, two-wheeler OEMs in India, and being able to provide them the digital transformation, the experiences they're looking for, both in terms of connectivity, in terms of connected platforms, right, on two-wheelers. We're doing similar things on digital cockpit in a four-wheeler. We are taking some of that learnings into enterprises and industrial companies, and looking at what transformation we could do, digital transformation we could do around AI, around private networks, and so on and so forth. We're also looking at what we can do in terms of consumer devices, be it PC, be it phones, and other things. So we're super excited about what India has to offer. And by the way, the most important thing I didn't talk about, some of the things of connecting the unconnected. So we are working with all the operators in India and getting fixed wireless, 5G fixed wireless into the homes, working with our partners in India, as well as providing access points into the homes as well.
An interesting milestone for Qualcomm in India was the fact that Qualcomm Ventures invested 730 crore in Jio platforms a couple of years back. How has that relation evolved with India's largest telco, and what are the new areas the Jio-Qualcomm partnership is looking to address?
So I think Jio is a very strategic partner of ours, right? We have a lot of respect for that organization. We've been working with them. What I can publicly say is we've been working with them on fixed wireless. We've been working with them on their initial 4G devices as well. There's a lot of initiatives we have undergoing with Jio. They're a very strategic partner with us. And we're providing technology, know-how, expertise. By the way, what I would also say is, while we bring these technologies, there's a lot of innovation that Jio is actually bringing to us as well. So this is a two-way partnership around where we help each other in bringing innovative things in a new business model into areas where we haven't explored before.
Are you looking to scale up that partnership and collaboration into
Absolutely, right? I think we're very anxious, and we're working very closely with folks there to see what we can do. And there's a lot of areas that are still, under discussion.
Would one of the areas be a certain entry-level 5G smartphone?
We are working with all the operators in India to bring an entry-level 5G smartphone. We believe, we internally call it Sabka, 5G, right? We believe that technology, right, should be available to the masses, right? It's a big initiative for us. So again, think about this as in we are enabling all the OEMs that we work with to bring these devices into India. And we're going to be working with all the operators in India as well as channel partners to bring these devices at affordable prices that India hasn't seen before, right? That's what we are most excited about. So it's not that it is one particular company or something. We want to build that ecosystem. Going beyond that, I think it's important to make sure that the operators have invested a lot in 5G, that there is also some use cases around this. So it's not just about the operators and the OEMs. We're also going to be enabling the ecosystem of developers and use cases that are going to bring new use cases, with AI as well as with 5G onto these devices. So I'm super excited that once we are able to unleash the scale of India, right, with 5G at that price point, I think a lot of exciting things are going to happen.
And what strategy will you adopt to make deeper inroads into India as India itself looks to grow higher in the pecking order, in the world pecking order?
So, I'll start off with at a macro what we are trying to do. I think at a macro level, what we are trying to do is grow an ecosystem in India. What does that mean? What it means is we are looking to develop more and more customers in India that are developing based on our technology, right? They're building edge boxes. I'm giving examples. Edge boxes. They're bringing cameras, AI-enabled cameras, or they are building hearables, wearables. They are building phones, perhaps PCs, perhaps, right? We are at a macro level. My biggest challenge is how can we grow that ecosystem in India? That ecosystem in India is going to be very important when we go look at, we'll have a conversation about semiconductors, right? And so on and so forth. We want to make sure that there is a healthy ecosystem where India has been able to develop products and then build them in India for India as well as for export. That's at a macro level, right? My short-term goal is what can we do to address the need of India in terms of its thirst for digital transformation, right? Or connecting the unconnected, right? There's a pent-up demand in India about all of these things that India actually needs in this time in its history of India. So we're looking to see in the short term what we can do to enable. We talked about two-wheelers, four-wheelers. We talked about industrial conglomerates that are looking for tech in building more safe environment for workers, right? Improving the quality, all of the things that are needed for India to be globally competitive. And these are things that we can bring and enable in India, right? In the long term.
Through chipsets and partnership with OEMs in these.
That's absolutely right? And then on the long term, I think what we're looking to do is what can we do to help India be more export oriented for markets that are, where we can help, Indian OEMs grow and export into places like North America. We have presence globally, right, in other areas. So that's the long term, we want to be successful here and then figure out how we can export.
Could you talk about some investment numbers for India?
We don't disclose privately publicly what we actually invest, but I think I would say, given that we've been here 20 years, right? I looked at the numbers from some of other semiconductor partners,
and announced last year.
And said, okay, and I look at the numbers and I will tell you that what some of those companies are announcing, we are spending in a few months that amount in India. That's the level of investments Qualcomm has in India, right? And you know what? It's not about. I'd say it's not about the numbers per se. I am really amazed with the teams that we have, and we call it the Center of Excellence in Noida, in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, and we just had a new facility in Chennai. A couple things that are probably unique, right? One is they're the best engineers, right? They're working on some unique features for the global markets, for global OEMs, right? What the best part is, when we set up a site, what happens is pretty amazing. You'll find OEMs that work with us. They want to get access to technology, get answers. A lot of these companies actually end up, being right next to our Center of Excellence, right? So we are one of those things that every time we hire, let's say, 100 engineers or 1,000 engineers, right? There'll be a lot of other companies that are customer of ours being right next to us because they want early access, they want to troubleshoot some stuff, they want to get, they want to understand how these things work, right? So that's the amazing part of Qualcomm.
I wanted to also ask you about, the global chip demand. Analysts are estimating that the global chip market will see a turnaround in 2024 with AI driving demand. What are your views of 2024 outlook and on trends?
We're seeing also that that things are looking up, right? Rebounding all the way from automotive as well as in industrial IoT, and I think even smartphones are also doing relatively well. I think overall, I think we're in that rebound curve, and I think AI is one of those things. When people ask me like, what are the use cases for some of these things, right? You come back and say it's almost infinite what it's possible, right? With these AIs and hybrid AIs, where it is on the device as well as doing computation in the cloud, right? I think we are just at the cusp of what is possible on the device, right?
When you talked about the investments for India, that you are actually exceeding what some of the other players are probably investing over years, you're investing in months. That particular investment is going into the centers of excellence and R&D and engineering talent. Could you just outline the broad canvas of where all you're investing in India?
In terms of location?
Not just location, but in terms of specifics of whether it's just going on developing and scaling up your R&D centers, your centers of excellence and partnerships.
Yeah. So I think, like for example, I give you Chennai Center, is all the Wi-Fi and access point innovation is out of that facility, right? For our chip design, we've got we have chip design as well as IPs that go inside a chip. We have a lot of stuff that's going on in the Bangalore center as well. And in, like, for example, in all the work around AI as well as optimizing these models on device and bringing new use cases. There's a lot of stuff, innovation going on in a Hyderabad facility. In our Noida facility also, there's a lot of chip design talent that is sitting there and working on the next generation of chips. So I think these centers have become very critical to our success, and they're actually bringing new use cases and new way of doing things and new technologies for global markets right here in India.
How do you see India's overall growth and the macro stability, given that there is an estimate that India is estimating a 7% GDP growth even in FY25, in contrast to the volatile global backdrop? How is India versus global dynamics looking to you from where you sit?
I think India is the place to be, right, in terms of you look at every sector and there is growth in every sector in India, right? And I think, and that is just, I think, mostly just to serve the Indian consumer, right? You can imagine what's happening in phones with some of the OEMs. What they're trying to do here is actually not just build for the India market, but also export. The way I see it is, I think I wouldn't want to be in any place else but in India in terms of its growth story, and at this time, right? I think India has amazing opportunity to be able to. I think AI would be a remarkable opportunity for India, especially hybrid AI. That stuff that is done on device, right? Imagine, it's one of those things that when these large language models get trained and they become smaller, and they need to be run efficiently. Let's say in your car. Let's say you have an electric vehicle and you came, from Noida to come visit us in Gurgaon, right? The biggest thing you want in an electric vehicle is you want to optimize the battery. If you want to optimize the battery and you want to launch a large language model, bunch of sensors, and you want to do autonomy or so on and so forth, you want to be able to do that computation in low power. I think India has a remarkable opportunity with hybrid AI to be able to do on-device AI and really show the world in terms of what are the use cases that are possible on these devices, be it PC, be it phones, be it cars, be it two-wheelers. There's unbelievable opportunity for India to be able to take that opportunity and with the strength and scale of India, prove something different.
You mean innovate on hybrid AI is what you're saying?
Absolutely. I think that is where India has a massive opportunity. We're doing a little bit work already around cameras. We're doing a lot of work around phones. I think that's where the opportunity lies.
Coming to semiconductors, how do you view India's semiconductor and chip manufacturing story, which is unfolding, especially in the backdrop of the semiconductor scheme and the response that we've seen from large players like Tata's and Micron?
So I think back in a couple of years ago, actually, I think it was in 2022, our CEO made a commitment before any of these plans were out there, that if there was a manufacturing entity being set up in India, we will commit to ensure that Qualcomm will participate and bring our technology scale and our products into that. And I think we have absolutely, that's our number one commitment, and it remains our number one commitment. What do we bring, right? We come to me and say, well, you're a fabulous company. Why are you so important in the ecosystem?
Why
in a
you
couple
so
of ways, right?
correct.
In a couple of ways, right? One A is we are one of those unique that have technology that we can actually troubleshoot, debug, as well as be able to provide technology into some of these, let's say, back-end, assembly and test, or anything setting up a new foundry here, right? We can actually help with the scale of our engineering. Second thing is products, right? At the end of the day, these fabs will need somebody to get products shipped to a customer. I think that we could be a very important customer for these fabs that are coming up, or the OSATs that are coming up. So I think we see this in a two-pronged: tech as well as our scale and products that we can bring.
So specifically, what role will Qualcomm play as India welcomes these global players to set up fabs and ATMPs and other units? Could you just elaborate on what you just said?
I think one is like we're working very closely with a couple of partners, right? And we'll provide our knowledge and know-how, guidance. We already engage with these partners, right? Second thing is, like I mentioned, these guys, when the facility is up and running, they're looking for partners to bring products that can be manufactured in these facilities, right? That's our second commitment, right? So there's two very specific commitments that they're looking for. Short term, guide me, help me, mentor me, provide tech to me. When we're ready, bring your products for me to manufacture, right? Those are two things that we are very specifically engaged with.
So in the specific cases where players like Micron and Tata's have announced specific plans for units, are you coming as partner in any of these units that are planned right now?
I think we haven't disclosed anything, but I will assure you that we are very actively engaged with some of the partners that are serving the. I think Micron mostly is a captive entity, but anybody else coming up that has the government approval, once they have the right tech, and we guide them on what to do for if they were going to serve Qualcomm. If they have the right products and the right cost structure, we will absolutely help be part of that thing. We're already working with all of them.
Okay. There have been reports that Qualcomm plans to unveil a new chipset that will facilitate the release of an affordable 5G smartphone, and we just touched based on this earlier. This might be priced at below $99 and could be out as early as end of 2024. Qualcomm is also said to be working with OEMs to develop and launch the phone. What exactly are you looking at, and what kind of partnership would you be looking at in the Indian market? So
three things. I think it starts off with we are working with all the operators to ensure that they are supportive of a device that's coming in at that tier, right? Most of the operators have a pan-India 5G story. Jio is already, pan-India, and Airtel will soon be, right? So we're actually working with the operators. The second thing is we're working with the OEMs, right? We're working with all the OEMs to bring devices into the country, right, that are designed with this chipset. The third thing we are actually doing is working with the channel partners, online, offline, to be able to bring devices like this to the entire country, not just in specific OEMs in a specific channel. We want to ensure that this device reaches the masses, right? And the fourth thing, as I mentioned before, is all about the use cases, right? What are the unique things that this 5G device has that is not available, let's say, in a 4G device at the same price point? So really, we're looking at doing a bunch of things on the ecosystem to make 5G at that price point successful.
There were reports that you would be working with Jio as it brings a cheap 5G smartphone into the market, probably priced around 9,000 rupees or so. Could you comment on those reports?
We are, as I mentioned, there's no specific partner to announce today, but I'm sure there will be many to be announced in sometime in the summer, fall timeframe. I think we are, like I mentioned before, we are engaged with all partners to ensure that we have devices that are the right features, the right price point, for the ecosystem. So there's nothing specific going on with one. We are engaged with all.
And the price point is that $99.
It's the price point actually is sub $100. So that would be, we're actually targeting even more aggressive, but that is the sort of our CEO when he was here, he's changing his goal for me to be even lower than 8,000 rupees, right? So that's the target that we've got right now.
At that price point, with a good quality product, the market could practically explode, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly why we're not just working with one partner. We're working with all the partners to ensure its success, right? Because success means you got to make sure that there's a reach with this. You make sure that the right use cases exist. You want to show me the right product and the right price point, right? And the right quality of this product, right? We want to make sure that the operators get behind it. So all of that needs to happen for this to be exactly what you said, a huge success in India.
Let's wrap up with the big bets today: 5G, Gen AI, and AI. When it comes to 5G in the India market, how have you seen the rollout and the uptake and penetration of 5G so far? And on Gen AI and AI smartphones, what can the world expect and India expect from Qualcomm?
So I think on 5G, India is just a remarkable story at the way it's launched, right? All the way, Jio, Airtel, all these customers. Jio is already pan-India. So it's unbelievable what's happened in India. Now I think we want to ensure that now that's pan-India, what are some of the things that, we can bring in terms of not just, for consumers, smartphones, but also for the enterprise, right? So a bunch of things we're working on around that. On Gen AI, actually, I'm very, very, very excited, right? I think as a company, we see this as almost like an XG moment, right? As in on device, right? You can imagine what you can do on device. I don't know if you've seen the S24 Ultra, where you can do a real-time translation. While you can be speaking, let's say in Bengali, and I'm trying to understand you in Hindi, you can actually do a real-time translation. It's unbelievable what the technology can do, both for photography or videos and so on and so forth. So I think we want to bring Gen AI on devices for various use cases. And devices are not just phones. We're doing a lot of work with Microsoft on the Copilot optimization on PC. We're doing a lot of work on use cases in the auto. We're also doing what are the use cases on two-wheelers. So across the board, think about access point in your home, like a Wi-Fi router in your home. What if it had a large language model running? What are the conveniences you can do as a consumer? We want you, a consumer in India, to have a unique experience with Gen AI. And we want to ensure that it's not that we don't want to make it complicated. We want to drive use cases where the AI is right there and it's providing you a convenience that you didn't have before, right? It's not about, you're buying something in AI, but you don't know what to do with it. But it's one of those things that it's there, it's providing you a convenience that you're saying, aha, this is the convenience. It's good for me to have this device and it has AI in it.
As we move towards these hybrid devices and AI smartphones, Would regulations also have to keep pace with that, and how do you see the regulation and policy side keeping up or matching the speeds of innovation in technology?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it's important to ensure, we're smart about regulations. And I think I would encourage people to ensure that, and I come back to this whole thing about hybrid AI, right? Which is, I'm giving you as a consumer the control of what happens on your device. If all your information, for example, let's say in your home, you have cameras and all the feed is going into the cloud, you're mostly not in control, right? In that case, what we'd like to do is we would like to bring edge AI solutions where you are doing inference, let's say, of the camera feed in your house. You decide how to actually send that over into the cloud and what information goes, what doesn't information do. So we actually want to be smart about regulations. We want to make sure that regulation and control and privacy and contextual information that all of these large language models need is in the hand of people that want to use it, right? I think that's what we think is a smart way of thinking about AI, and especially hybrid AI.
Will AI lead to joblessness?
I think AI will lead to unbelievable opportunities in terms of what use cases you can bring. Think about AI for e-commerce. Let's say, we have the stable diffusion model where you have text to picture, right? Let's say you want to, and people showed me this video about, or a demo of, you being, let's say, you're celebrating Christmas, you look like, a Santa Claus, and you're doing something else, and you're looking, you're wearing a sari, and you can all this in a virtual manner, right? Just because it has all your information, right? Imagine now that we add an e-commerce element to it, right? Let's just say you now want to try a new watch, right? You want to see how that new watch looks on you. It can all be done virtually, right? Through a large language model. Again, it's all running a large language model, but for a consumer, you don't think about that. I think AI is something, especially hybrid AI. India can be a leader in that space, and we're really excited of what the use cases that we can bring, especially in India.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you this. One, on the Red Sea crisis, does it have any impact in terms of supply chain, the way it functions? Because we've seen that in other industries. Does it impact chips and semiconductor market? And two, India wants to project itself as an alternate to China when it comes to chip manufacturing and semiconductor manufacturing. On both of these issues, what are your views?
I think the Red Sea crisis, minimal impact to us and our business. And on the latter, I think, look, at the end of the day, India should work on India's merits, and what India has to offer the world, right? And I think I would encourage India to look at opportunities where it is at the forefront or leading edge in terms of technology, innovation, scale, and then focus really on what we are good at and what we want to be good at, right? And then develop the talent around that.
Thank you so much, sir. It was so wonderful speaking to you.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks for speaking to PTI.
Thank you all the way coming on. Thank you.